Hello, my name is Joanne Hewins, and today I want to make a card with you. I can't show you the card because I gave it away. In fact, I gave two of them away to some of my team members, and one of them happens to be my sister. And I just wanted to show you how to use the Paper Florist dies. Not all of them, but a few of them, and this is what they look like, and I'll talk about them in just a minute. Before I started, I wanted to show you, if you're catching me in the month of June, there are some papers that are 15% off, and some of these we're going to be using in the card today. So I wanted to point those out. All three of these are 15% off. This is in the catalog on 129. And 120, 130, 131. The Earthen Elegance is one that we're going to use today, this piece right here. And we're going to be using Fresh as a Daisy, but we're going to be using the flip size, some may say, and that's the blue part right here. So I'll show you that later. These two are 15% off. So is the Glorious Gingham, the Inked Botanicals, the Let's Go Fishing, and Lace Shop. All of those are 15% off through the end of June. And this isn't going live until June 29th, so you may miss it if you don't join in on my videos there. Also, some of the Designer Series paper that is in the online store is also 15% off. Now I want to show you in the very back of the catalog where we have the die sets. There are several die sets that are not associated with a stamp set, and you can find them here in the back of the catalog. If it has the kind of a pink N, that means new, and those are some of the ones that are not with the stamp set, but we also have some from years before. The Basic Borders here is one of them. But I'm going to go ahead and flip over here. We're going to be using today some of the new ones are the Nested Essentials and the Paper Florist. So those are two of the new ones that I'm going to use in the card today. So let me go ahead and get started. The base of our card is going to be Pebbled Path. That's one of our new in colors. And it's going to be 5.5 by 8.5. And what I'm going to do is put my paper in at 4 1/4. Doesn't that sound crazy? And I'm going to take my score and score at 4 1/4. Now I'm going to turn it to the 5.5 and do my cutting. And I've got two bases now that are scored and ready to go. Just a little tip you probably know, but anyway. So I'm going to take a bone folder. Thought I didn't have one for a minute. I usually end up with something that I need, so maybe I did it this time without. So I'm going to use my bone folder on there, and then I'm going to be using that paper that I showed you from Earthen Elegance. Now I cut this to 4 by 5 1/4. And I have two bases that I can use on that. And then I have a little bit left, and we're going to use that in just a little while, which I just figured out what I don't have. Okay, so I'm going to add this to the front of my card. And I hate to do this, but I am going to leave the room for a second. I was hoping I wouldn't have to do this, but you know what? I'm human. I forget things. I'm just trying to get back into some of the videos, so I'll be right back. And I'm back. That wasn't too bad, was it? Okay, using the Nested Essentials dies, I have cut out a piece. This is what they look like. Here's a couple I had already cut out just to show people, and I just put them back in my envelope. But what I used was this one right here to cut that out. And that's a really neat little piece, I think. And here's this one that is a nice little tag look to it. Has a little bit of double stitching, and then this one has a little bit different edging to it. I don't have one of those cut, and I'm just going to go on. And so I want to glue this into the center of the card. So I'm going to put some glue. Now, usually you would add maybe that with dimensionals, but I'm going to be making flowers that are three-dimensional. So I want to make this flat. This is probably going to be one of those cards that you would add, well, you would give it to somebody in person. It's going to be a 3D type thing, and I'm trying to figure out where to put this to be the center. I think that's pretty close. And I'm kind of using this little line that's coming through here to help me to maybe make that straight. So there we go with that. So we are going to begin making our flowers to go for our card. So let me bring in the dies. I've already cut out some of these, and there's some extra pieces. I'll just push them over here. And the first flower that we're going to make is made with this die right here. And it cuts out the 4 pieces at one time. This is from the Fresh as a Daisy flowers. I don't think I mentioned that a while ago, but one we are using. And it cuts out the 4 pieces, and I'll put those out here at once. And there are 2 of the small and 2 of the large. And we're going to be using both of these for this card, but it's going to go on the inside of the card. Another thing that we're going to need for these flowers is a leaf. And this leaf that we're going to use has been cut from this die right here, and that's out of old olive cardstock. And then we're going to need a center for this flower. And I'm going to be using this piece for that. And I used this to cut those out. This actually cuts out 2 circles. One has all these dots on it, and the other one is smaller. We're not going to be using the smaller, but let me bring attention to the fact that there's another die here that is opposite, that has the small area has all the dots, and then there's a large plain area with just stitching around the outside. So that's kind of neat. You can fix that the way that you wish to have it. So I'm going to add these back in, and we're going to make this flower and add it to the card, and then we'll move on. So I'm going to take my blending brush and some of the Moody Mauve ink, and I'm going to add just a little bit of color to the outsides of the petals. So I'm just going to get some ink. I'm going to tap off some of that extra there, and I'm just going to go around the outside part of the petals, and I'll go ahead and do the outsides of all 4 of the petals. This larger one we're actually going to add to the inside of the card in a little while, and that's what I had to go and run and get, was my inside paper. So I've got that, and then we'll just add a little bit more ink and get this smaller flower. So I wanted you to see that these flowers that we're making today are really pretty easy. They might look like they're going to be hard, but they're really not that bad. So we have all of that color added to our flowers now. And I'm going to get my bone folder, and on all of those, I'm going to put it on the correct side that I want to use and do that to make it curl. So I'm going to do that with all of the flowers. Now kind of do it gently because you don't want to pull off a petal. Okay, so I'm going to add these together. I think I'm going to use just a little bit of glue, but that's what you want, is just a little bit. Because you don't want it to mash out all over the place. So I'm going to add the second one now. I'm doing the smaller one, and I'm going to offset it so that the petals are kind of all around in a circle. And on this one, I'm going to add this larger piece, and I'm going to add that with a dimensional. So it's kind of a big circle, but I think that's all right. So I'm just going to add it like that. And it's actually ready. We've already cut out our leaf. It's actually ready. So I'm going to go ahead and add some of the, okay, there they are. I find I lose something all the time. I'm going to add some of the mini dimensionals to the leaves here. Now I've already made a couple of these flowers, so I kind of know how I want to place things. If you hadn't done it before, you're going to want to make all of your pieces and kind of place them, lay them around so that you can figure out where you would like to put them. But I've already made that decision. So I'm going to do one leaf that goes up like this, and I just put the dimensionals on these three out here. And then I'm going to put glue on my flower. I don't want to make it any higher than it was. So I'm going to just glue that right there in place. And that's how we're going to do that. Now I'm going to go ahead and make this other flower. And this is what I had to run and get, was a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 white. And you remember I told you we were going to do something with this leftover piece that I had from cutting the 2. And I'm just going to put it in here. And this is 1.5 inches. So I'm going to put this at 3/4 and try to get it straight. And I'm just going to cut that. And now I have a piece for both of the cards, the one that I'm going to make later, and this one. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue here. And I'm going to use my grid paper to help me get this straight. So I put it straight across here. And I'm going to go, I don't know, up 1/2 inch, I guess, and look for that line that goes across. And then I'll put it over here on this line that goes across. And it should be on there straight. And so now I'm going to make this flower, the larger one. That might be too much glue because it's going to push out, but we'll be all right. Okay, we're all right. And on this one, I'm going to put a different center than the first. And I got that by cutting with this die right here. Oops. So that one will make this piece. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue right to the center of that. Now you can use glue dots just as well. And I'm going to add that right in the center. Oops. Got a little glue on my finger. Okay. And so here on the card, we're going to glue this piece. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on each of the petals. Oops. Put it like that. And then I'm going to glue this flower down here. Now this flower is going to end up kind of flattened, and that's okay, but that's how I want that to look on the inside. Okay, now I could have stamped something for the inside. I think I'm going to not do that now. Normally what you would do is do your stamping first. That way you could turn the card over if you needed to and try the other side. I'm going to just go ahead and put this inside the card, and this will be my inside. Okay, I think that's pretty. I love that paper. And I didn't show you the back side of that paper, but look how gorgeous a color that is. That would make some pretty flowers, wouldn't it? But we're actually going to make another flower now. We're going to make 2 of them, and we're going to make them using this die. Now for the flower that we just made, cutting it once, we got a large flower and a small flower. And then you really could just use those without making it a double layer and have 4 flowers if you wanted that weren't but 1 layer. For this one, I'm going to make 2 flowers. I'm going to make each one have 2 of these and 2 of these. So I had to cut this out 4 times. And I had this piece of paper. This is from the Fresh as a Daisy. And I hated to not use that side, but I wanted that blue. And I wanted a blue that had a little bit of variation to it. So I thought it would be a good use of the paper for that. So I have all of those cut. And I think, I didn't do this on the cards that I gave away, but I think I'm going to add just a little bit of color, a little bit more color to the tips of these with boho blue. So I'm going to tap, and I think I'm just going to do like this. That would be a little bit different from what I did before. But I'm just going to add a little bit like that to each one. Probably should have done some of these ahead of time, but I didn't. Hopefully it won't take too long. That's one reason I went ahead and cut these out ahead of time, because it can be a little bit time consuming. It's not hard, but it can take time. And I think that will help to add a little bit of dimension to our flowers. And some of these I've gotten a little bit darker than others, but hey, flowers vary in real life, so I think we're just great. Okay, so I've done that, and the next thing we want to do is to take our bone folder and carefully curl our petals. So I'm doing that from the right side and just curling them back. Now these petals, if you look at them, they are not symmetrical. I'm going to put my large and small together. If you look at that, that's not symmetrical. So it's going to be very hard to offset those so that everything's even around. But once again, flowers, they vary. All right, let me see if I can speed up a little bit. I am Southern, so we're slow. Whoop, there went a petal. We're going to hope it'll be all right. I don't think it will notice it a whole lot. Okay, so we're ready to put our parts together quickly. We're going to put just a little dot of glue there, and we'll just kind of offset that. But you can see there's still some area there that hasn't been covered. We'll put another dot. And another dot. And I'll try to cover what I can, but see how pretty that's coming together? Can you see that? And I'm going to use this center in these, and I got that by using this die right here. So we haven't used all of the dies, but we've used a good amount. And I'm going to take these and just kind of bend them up a little bit, and maybe back out a little bit, and we'll just put a little bit of center in there, or a little bit of center, a little bit of glue in there, and then we'll put a little bit of center in there. And I see a little bit of my glue peeping out. That's going to be all right. Okay, let me put these together. And again, just a little dot of glue. You can see some of mine is coming out. Now I'm going to put this one with the torn petal right in there. And maybe we won't miss it too much. I don't think anybody's going to be counting our petals, do you? All right, and we'll add our center. Let me bend those a little bit. Okay, and then we can just kind of fluff them up again over that center. Let me hold that down to. Okay, now we're going to be adding something else before we glue this. We're going to have leaves that go with it. And I cut these leaves. I cut 2 of these for that. The first one we used this one, and for this one we're using that or that. But there's also a die that looks like this and another that looks like this. And that's going to cut out a different kind of stem. I'm still using Old Olive with that. And I used, for the little flowers, one of the new colors that is Bubble Bath. It's a beautiful pink. So I've already cut that. It cuts out your 3 little buds all at once. So there you have it. Now there are 2 smaller buds and 1 larger one. And your larger one is going to go in the center. That one's a little bit bigger. So I didn't do this before, but I'm going to add a little bit of color to these buds. We'll see how that goes. And I'm going to use the Bubble Bath. Okay. Now this one, this has actually pale papaya, but that's an old color. So I'm just going to, I don't think there's much of that left. So we're going to pick up the pink. And I'm just going to kind of hold and just go over the tip if I can. Well, or the whole thing. There we go. That'll add just a little bit more color to that. And I'm going to add just a little bit of glue to the end of those. Probably shouldn't have put that much, but we'll see. And I'm going to pick up my big one. And then I'll get the other sides. That was about the easiest way that I found to do that. So we're going to add this to our card as well. Okay, so that was just the extra circle that I had cut out before. So we're going to add our leaves, our big leaves, and we're going to add them with dimensional out here near the end of both of them. Now I could have used one of my mini there. And I think what I'm going to do is also just add a glue dot near the end of that and another one near the end of this one. Now that didn't cover the whole space, but it doesn't matter because our flowers are going to come back and cover that out. So I'm going to put one that kind of goes out that way and one that maybe goes out this way a little bit. And then I'm going to add my little flowers with a dot there. And I'm going to do one of the mini dimensionals on each of those. Okay, I got two came off at once there, so all right. And then we will take your pick tool and get those off. Okay, and I'm going to add that going up this way a little. Okay, and now we'll glue on our flowers. Let me put these back over with my dies so I don't lose them. And we'll put a little bit of glue here, a little bit of glue here. And so I'm going to add one flower this way and another flower right over in here. Now you see why I told you this is probably a card that you would give to someone in person. Now I want to have a little saying on here. So this happy birthday is from Circle Sayings right here. And I'm going to put that on a scrap of white and just cut around that. So I'm going to be using my Pebbled Path ink. Now this has been really juicy, so we'll see how it does. So I'm going to tap that on. And since I'm cutting it around, I think I can fit it right in there. And that looks okay. And that's the other thing I forgot was my little snips, but here's some. Got it. So I'll just cut that away. And I'll have more scrap for another time. I'm really bad to keep tiny little scraps that probably should be thrown away. But then they come in handy sometime, don't they? Cut that a little bit closer. Okay. I don't like that little corner right there. These, there. And we'll add our dimensionals to that. And our saying, I think for this one, we'll just put it maybe right in there. See if that looks straight. Okay, so there's the front of our card and the inside of our card. But I went to a lunch yesterday and I didn't really want to just say here. I didn't want to put it in an envelope because it's going to mash it. So I made a little thing to put it in, and I wanted to share that with you as well. So this is the 2003-2005 in color treat bags. And we're going to pull out, it has all of the in colors. This is the Moody Mauve, the one we're going to use, but it has all of the colors in there, and it has 5 of each. So I'm going to use this, and I'm also going to use another one of our in color things, and that is the 2003-2025 in color jute trim. So I'm going to be using the Moody Mauve for mine. And I'm going to just go around and tie a bow. So I don't really know exactly how much to use. What I usually do is kind of figure out where I'm going to tie it and leave some. So we'll try that. And then I wanted to go around. Let's see if that's about the same amount of tie. Yeah. Okay, we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to pull that around, and I'm just going to tie, actually I'm going to tie a knot. I'm going to hold that, and I don't think that worked. Okay, here's a little hint. I'm going to get a glue dot and put that right under where I'm tying that. So I'm going to put it right under there. And that's going to hold my ends in place. Now I can just go ahead and tie the bow. Bow tying is not my thing, but I usually use a bow tie helper or a bow tire helper, but that's not too bad, is it? Okay, and I'm going to actually just trim this other end so it's about the same. There we go. And for this, I have cut a tag that we're going to use. And this one will go, we used the Tailor Made Tags, and we used this second largest, and we could have gone a little bit larger probably, but that's the one I used. Okay, and what I'm going to do is take this tag, I'm going to add some dimensionals to the back of it, so look at your stitching and make sure you know which is the back. And I'm going to add it by going underneath my bow. Now it's got that glue dot under there, and I'm going to sit it so that the glue dot goes right in the hole of my tag. So that's the way it's going to be. So it's attached, and we're going to add more to that, and I just realized I did not cut the pieces for that, so we'll have to do that right quick. And I'm going to use this to cut out my old olive, and I'm going to use this to cut out another flower. Okay, so we'll do that out of this paper and this out of this paper. And trying to decide, do I bring everything in or just go to the side? I'll just bring it in. so you'll have something to see. Let me move all that out of the way. And, oops, I moved the camera, I'm sorry. Okay, we'll do this one first. And I'm going to put, this time I had the little one here and the big one here, so I'm going to do it opposite. Well, actually, I'm not. Well, let's see, would that work better? I don't know that it makes much of a difference. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. And you can always hold this with washi tape if you wish. Now this will give me 2 more petals than I need, but I'm sure I'll use them on something else. And then we'll get those off. And we'll cut our leaf out. You can see where I've already been cutting leaves. And I just didn't take the time to make all that even, did I? That's actually what I do most of the time when it's just me. So let me move this back out of the way. And we'll work on our back. And I'm going to pull in, I think we'll do the large flower on the tag. So let me get those 2. And we'll get our Moody Mauve. Sorry about all the reaching. And we'll quickly make this flower. Oh, so I'm kind of just going to hurry. Because you've seen this already. I just want you to see how cute the bag could end up being. So let me curl these. Okay, I'll add those together. I'll set that just a little bit more. And then I had that black little center hanging around a while ago. Here it is. We'll add that one in there. And then we'll put our flower here. And our leaf, let's see how we want our leaf to go up this way. So I'm going to add some glue, oops, a little bit much over there. Some glue here, because it's going to go off the edge there. And somebody might want to pull their tag off and use it for something else. We'll add our flower. And then I had one more piece. Here it is. This piece, this is a circle. Sorry, my fingers don't want to pick things up. This is a circle from these Stylish Shapes. I used the second smallest circle. And I'm going to use a saying from Layered Leaves right here, the For You. So I'm going to bring in my, there it is. Do you put stuff underneath stuff when you're stamping? I certainly do. So I'm going to use the Pebble Path, and I'm going to stamp this in the center. There you go. And then we're just going to slip that here on the tag. Like that. I'm going to have it hanging off just a little bit. So we'll put the glue here. And we'll add the For You right in there. And there's our tag. Isn't that cute? So what I did for them is I put their card inside here, and it looked prettier, and I wasn't just saying, here's a card without an envelope or anything. So what do you think? Here's the holder for the card, and then here is the card. I think it turned out really pretty. Once again, I may not have told you, I'm Joanne Hewins. I have a blog called lovetocreate.typepad.com, and I would love for you to visit there. This will be up on the 29th. And I will have the link to the blog and to the YouTube video both on there. There'll also be a link to my online store if there are supplies that you need. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope that you will try the Paper Florist dies, because they are a lot of fun, and I've got to play around with the ones that I haven't used yet. But I will. I'm kind of excited. I love these. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.